Alright, what's good everyone? Bozashi here with another little miniature breakers guide. For this one, I'm not going to do it in the same style as like my other guides were. For this one, I'm probably just going to slap it over some gameplay or something, because this is really something I could really like showcase out in like practice mode. I've been getting requests lately to something more on the Raider side of things, of basically decision making and dealing with survivors, right? So for this, it's kind of a hard topic to think about because it's really it's a really hard topic to really talk about because or to really explain. It's a really hard topic to explain really because basically, you know, different variables, RNG, how good are the players you're playing against and whatnot. But going into it, I'm gonna just cut to the chase because I want to try to make this a quick guide. Early game's probably going to be a big benefactor of what's to come. If you get a good early, your late will be smoother. If you have a bad early, get ready to struggle, get ready to sweat. And really, what that comes down to is the RNG of you know, civilian spawns and item spawns and whatnot. If the survivors get good RNG on keys, there's kind of nothing you can really do about that other than try to rush them down or try to rush to your later form. And really, for that early game, you want to speed run to level 3 as fast as possible. Every Raider's level 1's vary, right? Obviously, Spopovich is hands down the best level 1, followed by Frieza, and then Cells being the worst, obviously. Everyone's level 2 is very vulnerable. If you're level 2 going into that Super Time Machine team fight, you're going to struggle. You're definitely going to struggle. Especially as Majin Buu, followed by probably Frieza, and I want to say maybe like Cell. I want to say Cell's level 2 is better out of the 3. But realistically, you want to definitely try to get that level 3. And for getting that, you need to figure out your strengths as a Raider player. So basically, if you know you can secure early kills are huge. If you can get someone before they're charge powered and like you can really like make them lose time, basically, that's good. But that comes with knowing how to properly stick to people, how to properly kill them, deal with survivor tools and skills. If you don't think you can handle that very well, focus on civilians. Now with that, for both sides of that, big Raider tip going in, check out the cities. So on each of the maps, the 3 maps we have so far, each one has like a city area, right? Generally speaking, a lot of the times those cities are filled with civilians, and if you don't spawn there yourself, players will be there. And a lot of times, if you don't spawn in the city, you can rush to the city, catch people before they even hit change level 1. So the city is basically a death trap, especially on basically any map that isn't Green Coast. You can pretty much level the entire city. You can destroy all the buildings, and there'd be like barely anywhere to hide. The city is a huge death trap, and I'm trying to like. And this is also a little survivor tip too. Early on, stay the fuck out of that city unless you get lucky on the key. If you can't catch someone early, get those civilians. Get those civilians fast as possible. Even on like Spopovich, where it's like, okay, little civilians only give a tiny amount, but 4 civilians gets you to Majin Buu. Now with that said, they're getting good key RNG. They could get so many done before you find enough civilians. So really, it's gonna come down to using your senses, you know, hearing, listening for the survivors, destroying buildings, and just basically being prepared. Because you could just have bad RNG on it. You could just have very bad luck, or you could have great luck. Recent Boo video of mine, I spawned in the city on Waterfront, I believe it was, the Supreme Kai map, and civilians galore. I straight to Boo. My egg was already right there, and I also found another civilian for me to already get a quarter through level 2. It's, and at the end of the day, RNG is going to determine a lot of that. But That's that portion. When it's super time machine time, which seems to be what a lot of people are struggling with, that's when things get crazy. And that's where you have to start to sweat a bit. Now, depending on how many people are still alive when it happens, so what you're gonna want to do, you want to definitely keep an eye on the charge powers in like the top right. You definitely want to keep track of who's the big dog, who's at level 3, who's gonna give you a hellish time, and who's just gonna be straggling around. And basically, if they speed run the keys on you, you better be good at the 1v7 or the 1vx. And that's the biggest probably thing I could talk about there. Master your combat, get good at dodging, get good at vanish attack, get good at utilizing your tools, and just get good at aiming stuff. Like, I know it's hard to really practice because you only get so many Raider games. You play Survivor more. I'll use your Survivor knowledge to your advantage also as a Raider. Know your weaknesses on playing Survivor and in general, right? Know how to dodge stuff, know how to vanish them. And then zoning a lot, like especially against level 3s and level 4 if they do get the Shinra wish. Zone them out with key blasts and supers. Do not commit to the melee unless if it's like a 1v1, fine. But if you know you're being swarmed, retreat and zone. Like, you protect your health as much as possible unless you need to, like, unless you're Frieza and you need those extra little points to level up, or if you're Boo and you know you can just heal it back. And then when you're going for finishers on people, pan your camera, listen carefully, be aware. You hear that Kaioken, you hear a rocket, can be ready to dodge. Be ready. Don't get stalled. Do not let survivors stall you, because that's gonna give them so much time to get things done. Whether it's get the key or charge the super time machine. Now, on the topic of that super time machine, make sure you're destroying that thing. I know it takes a while, but stand there, destroy it, pan your camera, listen, use your eyes, pay attention, know your surroundings, watch the change levels. This is where Raider gets hard, and as it should be. You have all these strong tools. There should be a point where you have to struggle, and a good team of survivors is going to make you struggle, and you're going to need to know how to deal with that. Know how every CC ability works. Know how to know its range. Know how to get out of it. It's just things that will come practice over time. Like, I can't tell you like a miracle like tip to like, whoa, I'm suddenly just winning every game now. Like, nah, I can't really give you that because there's so many factors, and it's such a hard to really give you. I can give you pointers, but it's hard to really like set out like a map for you. But all I can say is try to get level 3 as soon as possible. You're gonna finish a lot of your games in level 3 usually. Like, I don't want to say rarely, but very few times I get level 4. I'm mostly in matches in 3. Another thing with the super time machine fight, don't get distracted with finishers. If anything, just leave them on the ground to die and watch to see if someone tries to res them. I know it's very tempting to try to get that level 4, but really, when that super time machine is up, that is your timer. You need to get that done. You need to get rid of that fucking thing. It needs to go. Too many times people get cocky, try to wipe the whole party. No, you want to make sure that thing does not charge up. And end of the day, if you destroy it early and some people escape, that's fine. You still get the dub, right? The biggest thing you want to do as Raider, if you really want to succeed as Raider, just don't get your ass kicked and don't let that super time machine go. Like, I know me personally, I prefer to wipe out the whole lobby if I can, but if shit's hitting the fan, I'm blow it up, and if someone escapes, I'm obviously gonna hunt them down and not let them get to the escape pod or whatever. But I'm not gonna risk taking the L, so I'm gonna blow up the machine if I can. Now the thing probably struggle with the most is that desperate little struggle on the super time machine. Everyone's coming up, they're charming, they're go gumming, they're krillin shooing, they're solar flaring, they're kaiokening you, they're everything in their arsenal to stop you. If you dodge that stuff, and again, it's timing and practice. Dodge, key blast, use your level 3 mobile super, which is like, you know, the one with like spamming the key blast. Cells is really good for that. Cells probably has the fucking most broken one out of them. But make sure you're utilizing that. Make sure you're basically just zoning people off, keeping eyes on everyone. Watch when those packages come down, because they're all gonna swarm those packages. So if you have time, watch those packages. Try to, if you're Frieza, put your boys on them to scout them out. Try to, like, you know, defend them with that. You see someone going towards them, try to take them out if you can, if you have the time, right? Don't be distracted from that super time machine, because I guarantee you get into a long fight and you're gonna be like, oh shit, someone snuck on there and got that shit up to like 70%. Just being aware of your surroundings by all time is like a major thing. That's what I can say on that. Again, it's gonna just be practice at the end of it. Practice. If you have a friend who plays the game, go into practice mode. Practice combat. Practice fighting each other. Right? Have them go survivor and you go the raider, and just practice dodging, practice vanishing. Like, so now on to the next part to go through. Another decision maker thing, and that's usage of zone destruction. So this, and I've talked about this in my raider guide, which more experience in. I wish I can go back and do a bit, because now I utilize zone destruction a bit differently. Again, it's very game dependent. So if you get a game, like, obviously you want to like blow up places so they can't plant the key, and it makes the super time machine not charge up as fast. That's still viable, still perfectly fine. Still perfectly fine to just blow up places you don't like to be in, or you don't like people to escape in, like D on Green Coast, because this pod spawns all the way back there. Perfectly fine. Use it as you see fit. Don't just blow up something because you saw a key planted there, because you don't take the key away from them when you do that. But another thing I'm utilizing, really, games where I get a lot of early kills. So what I've been utilizing lately, I've been seeing people do it in videos as well. In those games where you're getting early kills, hold your zone destruction a bit. So once there's 3 survivors left in the match, like fully, everyone else, the other 4, fully gone, fully X through their portrait, then the escape pods come. What you can do, if you still have your zone destruction saved, you can blow up that zone with the pod in it. And when it is, that pod is gone until you kill another person. So until it goes down, until you wipe someone out completely and there's 2 people left, then another one spawns. And if you can get your evolutions going, you can constantly, like, if your evolutions are constantly coming as that's happening, you can fully lock survivors in. So like, when the next one spawns for those 2 people, you can blow that one up, and then you see how that's go. You see where I'm getting at on that. So that is a usage for zone destruction. You can hold it for that. Another thing you can do, and it is a pretty fucked up strategy, but is a thing in the game, and I don't know if they'll keep it, but it's a strat. 100%, if you have a zone destruction, when Shinron is being summoned, if you blow up the zone Shinron's being summoned in, they cannot summon Shinron. It prevents you, even if you fully fill it up, while the zone is in the middle of that destruction, and like the fucking music playing and the red lines and stuff, Shinron will not come out of the altar. He's like, fuck no. So you can deny a Shinron if you save your zone destruction. It is a fucked up strategy, but it's in the game nonetheless. So I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for even sharing the strat. I mean, I've seen several people do it already, but it is an option if people are rushing Dragon Balls on you. So you could hold, if you haven't seen any Dragon Balls all game and you haven't seen people all game, you can sure as hell hold the zone destruction for that. Now what happens is those Dragon Balls then get put back into the earth, so they can go get the balls again, but you denied that summon completely. They have to actually go get them again. I believe it moves the whole stack or so to another zone. I'm not entirely sure, but again, a decision you can do with the zone destruction. Again, all options are viable. Just don't be trying to destroy a zone just because a key is planted there. Like, no, destroy something that hasn't been planted yet. Something you just don't like hunting in. something that escape pods in, or something with an altar being summoned. Utilize your cooldowns. Know your good stuff. Know, all the stuff I said in like the previous guide. Skill points. Again, I kind of went over this in the previous guide. I was kind of like, focus your evolution. Yeah, focus your evolution. I said that in the previous guide too. Yeah, just get your evolution passives to plus 20 as fast as possible. You'd be surprised the difference it makes. Now, to be specific, life absorption for Cell, the you really piss me off passive or whatever for Frieza, the one where you killing the Namekians without a Dragon Ball gives you bonus energy, and then turn into candy for Boo. Don't really focus on the Spopovich one too much because it doesn't give enough to make the civilians, to lower the amount of civilians you need. You still need, even if you max it out, I think I remember reading that somewhere online, even if you max out the Spopovich passive, you still need 4 civilians. It'll probably help out with like getting a survivor, but like just focus on turning to candy first and then do whatever you want from there. But those evolution ones are huge, right? Like I've seen high level survivors eat like 2 civilians and automatically level up. Like it's crazy good. Let's go back into combat a little bit. So again, basic combat stuff, know your levels, know who you can melee, zone with your ki blast, know how to utilize your ki blast. Don't just, if the enemy you're fighting is really good at dodge rolling and dodging and moving in general, don't just keep spamming ki blast. Try to line up your attacks. Like, I know how easy it is just to spam ki blast on Raider. Like, okay, you can get away with that a lot of time, but like fighting a Z change or a dragon change in the air, or fighting someone who's good at dodge rolling, you're not going to catch them. Your ki blasts are going to lag behind, so you're going to want to like space them out. Don't mash the button as much, space them out, lead the shots, use your supers. Supers are big, supers track pretty well. Make sure you're in like a good open space for them too. Don't just mash the ki blast. If they're dodging properly, you're not going to get them. Throw them off a bit, because especially if they're dodge rolling, they're going to be in a rhythm. Throw that rhythm off. Melees on the Raider. I would advise staying away from melees unless you're fighting a dragon change and you know you're gonna land it. Whiffing a melee fucking sucks. Whiffing a melee attack because you're stuck in that in lag, yeah, that's a huge detriment. That's a lot of time for them to get away or retaliate. Only melee unless you know it's gonna hit, and even then, like, use it pretty much only for dragon changes, because if you do with someone unless they're like their barrier is already down, then fine. But I've noticed some weird lag where people can like dodge roll like even after the attack like connected on your screen. That's like a weird lag thing. So I try to like avoid meleeing non-dragon changed survivors. Melee is real easy to dodge roll, and if you've seen some of my survivor videos, you say how like easily I just fucking be dodge rolling them when they come in to try to melee me over and over, and they end up wasting a lot of time on the super time machine. So yeah, try to stay away from melee. I know it's the same button as ki blast, but just try to keep your distance. Try to have that range advantage going for you. I say only melee the dragon change because if you're especially a higher level, you will do a lot of damage to their meter. Don't forget, use your evasive / defensive moves. After image for Cell, a perfect barrier for Cell, Frieza's little get off me tool, and then Boo's angry shout get off me tool. Make sure you're utilizing those to get, if you're stunned by a skill, or if you're being meleeed, you can just press that and get out of it. And I know a big thing that I know a lot of raiders are really complaining about, and I don't really think it's a lot of an issue, is the scooter. Everyone's picking up on the scooter strat. You have the Bulma scooter, especially with expert driver. It's not impossible to get them. It's hard, but it's perfectly fine. It's definitely not like some people say it's like overpowered. Like, no, it's really not. If they're on that scooter, they're committed to the scooter. They can't pick up anything. They can't do anything. They get off, it goes on cooldown. And then they're also generally a lot of time committing 2 things for that getaway tool, because they're running the passive too. But it's like I said, it's not impossible to get them. your key blasts aren't gonna get them, but your supers will. And what you want to do in that regard, you want to make sure you're down a nice narrow path. And if you have like a beam super or a very big AoE super, you'll catch them a lot of the time. Again, but you want to make sure you get them on a nice like little narrow way. Things like Boo's Innocent Cannon isn't gonna get them, but that's just the fault of Majin Buu. Majin Buu stage sucks. Like it is what it is. But like I've gotten someone off a scooter with Swopovich's super before. It's like, you know, anything like a big beam or like a big like AoE, it's possible. You just gotta like make sure you really line it up. You want to make sure they're on a straight narrow, no like bridge, no going under like little bridges or. But the main thing you'll see is obviously Survivor is getting real good because you play Survivor more than you do Raider. Like the average person gets Raider at like Prio 5 or 6, right? Sometimes 7. So you're basically playing like 5 or 6 games of Survivor where you play Raider. Of course, Survivors are gonna look stronger because you're playing it more. You're not getting as much play time on Raider. I've taken L's in some Raider matches before too. Like I pretty much only upload my W's because I don't think showing the losses would be that entertaining. But basically, the closeout on all this comes with practice, zoning, and then really knowing how to handle yourself in a team fight. Keep being aware, spending your skill points good, and then not committing too hard to things that would just waste your time. Like if there's a survivor you know you can't get, don't keep chasing, right? Like cut your losses there. Like go for something else. Go for a civilian. Go for an easier prey. Like if you know you can't get someone, don't waste time. That's the biggest thing. Don't waste time. Cause wasting time, like time is precious as a Raider, obviously. But those are just some quick little tips I want to throw out. I don't want this to go on too long. I don't want to be like another like hour-long guide, but just something quick I want to throw together because people have been asking for it. I'm not the best Raider myself, so I guess one final little watch other Raiders play. Like when you're going against Raiders, if you see a high level, watch what they do. If you know, I really analyze and take in what they did different than what you do. And same goes for like YouTube videos. You know, there's already several people online posting videos about being like level 100, this Raider, that Raider. You know, watch them. They plenty experience, way more than me. I got pretty much my Raiders at, I think, right now, as I'm talking right now, Frieza 31, 26 on Boo, 15 on Cell. I like to jump around a lot. I don't like main anything really, but watch what they do. Really analyze. Really take in what they do different than you. Take in their strats, because that's really the best thing you can do, considering you don't get as much play time on Raider. But that's about it. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Stay tuned. More gameplay vids. Like, subscribe, and all that jazz if you're new here. If you have any more requests, feel free to bring them up. I'll consider them for the next vid. But yeah, I'll see y'all.